Have you ever heard a story so incredible, so full of wonder, that it feels like it has to be true? Today, we're diving into a legend that has been whispered through the centuries, a tale of a boy who was more than he seemed. This is the legend of Luke. Our story begins in the year 910 AD, in the green and rolling hills of Anglo-Saxon England. It was a time of knights, kings, and constant struggle. In a small, humble village, a boy named Luke was born. To his parents and neighbors, he was just another child with bright, curious eyes and a quiet smile. But Luke was different. He carried a secret within him, a power so immense that no one could have possibly guessed. Luke was a god living among mortals. As a young boy, Luke was gentle and kind. He loved watching the world around him, the way the wind rustled the leaves and the way the river flowed endlessly onward. He felt a connection to everything, a deep understanding that he couldn't quite explain. His parents simply thought he was a thoughtful, observant child. They had no idea that the quiet boy who helped them with chores was observing the very fabric of existence. The first sign of Luke's extraordinary nature appeared when he was just 6 years old. It was a hot summer day, and a 1-ton cow, the pride of the village, had gotten stuck in a deep, muddy ditch. The strongest men in the village gathered, pulling and heaving with all their might, but the poor animal wouldn't budge. They were about to give up, fearing the worst. Little Luke, watching from a distance, felt a surge of empathy for the distressed animal. He didn't want to see it suffer. Without thinking, he reached out with his mind, not his hands. He focused his will, his entire being, on the cow. In that moment, a strange energy filled the air. The villagers gasped as the massive cow, caked in mud, began to levitate. It floated gently out of the ditch and landed softly on solid ground, completely unharmed. The villagers stood in stunned silence. They looked from the cow to the small boy standing by the old oak tree. How was this possible? They whispered of magic, of spirits, but no one could comprehend what they had just witnessed. Luke, realizing he had done something extraordinary, simply smiled and ran off to play, as if moving a ton of weight with his mind was the most natural thing in the world. From that day on, Luke knew he was different. He tried to keep his abilities hidden, not wanting to frighten anyone. But his heart was too big, his desire to help too strong. As he grew into a young man, stories of his incredible deeds began to spread across the land. They called him the hero of the hills, the guardian of the Green Valley. When a terrible drought threatened to turn the fertile fields to dust, Luke walked to the dried-up riverbed. He closed his eyes and reached out with his senses, feeling for the deep, hidden waters of the earth. With a gentle push of his will, he coaxed the underground springs to the surface. Water bubbled up, first a trickle, then a stream, and soon the river was flowing once more. The crops were saved, and the people had water to drink. They celebrated with a great feast, praising the mysterious young man who had brought them salvation. Another time, a fierce fire, sparked by lightning, raged through the ancient forest, threatening to engulf the nearby villages. Panic spread as the flames leapt from tree to tree. While everyone else fled, Luke walked calmly towards the inferno. He didn't carry a bucket of water or an axe. He simply stood before the wall of fire, raised his hands, and pulled the very air from around the flames. Without oxygen to feed it, the mighty blaze sputtered and died out, leaving behind a trail of smoke and a forest saved from total destruction. His legend grew with each passing year. He would mend the broken bones of injured animals with a touch, help farmers lift impossibly heavy stones to build their homes, and even guide lost travelers through treacherous storms by calming the winds and parting the clouds. Luke never asked for rewards or recognition. He found joy simply in helping others, in using his divine gifts to bring comfort and safety to the people he lived among. He was their protector, their silent guardian. But where there is great good, darkness often tries to snuff it out. A man named Malik, a low-life driven by jealousy and greed, heard the tales of Luke's power. He didn't see a hero, he saw a threat, a source of power he wanted for himself. Malik believed that if he could defeat this legendary hero, he would gain his strength and rule the land. So, Malik devised a cowardly plan. He gathered a small band of ruthless mercenaries and ambushed Luke on a quiet country road. They surrounded him, armed with swords and axes, their faces twisted with malice. "Your time is over, hero," Malik sneered, convinced he was about to end the legend. Luke looked at them not with fear, but with a deep sadness. He didn't want to fight. He had only ever used his powers to create, to heal, to protect. Malik, seeing Luke's hesitation as weakness, gave the order to attack. The mercenaries charged forward. But as their weapons swung through the air, they stopped, frozen just inches from Luke's body. The men struggled, their muscles straining, but they couldn't move. Their swords were held in place by an invisible force. Malik watched in disbelief, his cruel confidence turning to ice-cold fear. "You don't understand," Luke said, his voice calm yet filled with an ancient power that resonated in their very souls. "Your anger cannot harm what you cannot comprehend. You seek to destroy, but you have no idea what you are facing." With that, Luke decided it was time for the world to know the truth. He had hidden his true nature for long enough, but now, to prevent more violence, to show them a better way, he had to reveal himself. He rose slowly into the air, a brilliant, warm light emanating from his body. The light was not blinding, but comforting, like the first rays of dawn. The gray clouds above parted, and shafts of sunlight bathed the entire countryside. The mercenaries fell to their knees, their weapons clattering to the ground as they shielded their eyes, not from the light itself, but from the sheer awe of what they were witnessing. Luke's form shimmered, and for a moment, they saw not just a man, but a being of pure energy, of cosmic power. He was a god, a true god, standing before them. His power washed over the land, not with force, but with an overwhelming sense of peace. The anger in Malik's heart dissolved, replaced by a profound sense of humility and shame. The violent thoughts of the mercenaries evaporated, leaving only wonder. The revelation of Luke's divinity didn't bring fear, it brought peace. News of the event spread like wildfire, not as a story of a battle, but as a miracle. People from all corners of the world came to see the God who lived among them. Wars ceased. Kings and queens laid down their crowns at his feet, not in surrender, but in reverence. The world entered an unprecedented era of harmony. For years, Luke guided humanity. He didn't rule as a king, he taught as a friend. He showed people how to live in harmony with nature and with each other. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, and filled the hearts of all with hope and kindness. The world blossomed under his gentle watch. There were no more wars, no more famine, no more needless suffering. It was a golden age, a paradise on earth, all thanks to the God who had chosen to walk among them as a man. But Luke knew his time on earth was not forever. He was a celestial being, and his home was in the heavens. One day, as the sun set, bathing the world in hues of orange and purple, a column of starlight descended from the sky. It enveloped Luke in its gentle embrace. He turned to the people who had gathered, his eyes filled with love. "Do not be sad," he said, his voice echoing not in their ears, but in their hearts. "The peace I have given you is not mine to keep. It is yours. It lives inside each of you. Nurture it, protect it, and share it. My spirit will always be with you." And with those final words, he was lifted up into the heavens, becoming one with the starlight. He vanished from sight, but not from their lives. The world he left behind was forever changed. The peace he had created endured for generations, a testament to his love for humanity. And so, the legend of Luke is not just a story of a god who came to earth. It's a story about the divine potential for good that exists within all of us. It's a heartwarming reminder that the greatest power in the universe is not strength or magic, but kindness, empathy, and the simple, profound desire to help one another. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the past. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the legends that shape our world. See you next time.